Every single wealthy woman I've ever worked with or studied has had all of these 8 psychological traits, and the 8th one is the reason these 7 work. So the first one is that they know how to separate their worth from their income. So most people, when they're chasing a certain amount of money or income, they're doing it with the goal of, oh, when I earn 10k a month or when I earn 6 figures, I'll finally feel confident, I'll finally feel capable, I'll finally feel worthy. But this is wrong, because you're always constantly chasing the next goal. By doing this, you're placing your worth, your happiness and everything on an external factor that may not ever arrive. So what the women do who do actually know their worth, they don't rely on the goal to be reached for them to already feel happy, confident and worthy. What they do is they tell themselves, I'm already confident, I'm already worthy, I'm already fulfilled, I'm already grateful. And then the income comes, because the money is just a byproduct. It's not the end goal. Who you become in the process is actually the better part. Now, number 2, they are comfortable being disliked. Most women aren't comfortable being disliked because since a young age, they have these very anxious tendencies. For example, people pleasing, not being able to set boundaries. And because of this, they're always self-abandoning themselves in the process. They're putting other people's emotions above theirs. They're putting other people's values above theirs. But the more you self-abandon, the more you're telling yourself and the more you're telling your brain that you don't actually respect yourself, you don't value yourself, and you're willing to put other people above yourself, even at the expense of your own goals. Another thing is, a lot of you have a fear of cringe, and you're not being your authentic selves because you're worried of how you'll come across to other people and you're scared of being judged. But what you need to understand is wealth building often requires you to be put in uncomfortable situations. You're going to have to say no to people. You're going to have to disappoint people. You're going to have to put up your prices at some point. You're going to have to negotiate hard. You're not going to have to care what people think. You're going to have to develop a very high tolerance to not caring what other people think about you, because right now your fear of being perceived by other people is the main reason, 90% of the reason you're holding back and you're not actually doing anything. They know in order to get the wealth or get their goal, they're choosing to trust themselves and their own decision over the likability, because they have so much self-assurance and confidence in themselves that if they know they are making the right decision, then the opinions of other people don't matter. Thirdly, is that they think in decades, not paydays. And what does this mean? So a lot of women in our generation, including you, heavily rely on instant gratification as opposed to delayed gratification. And I'm going to tell you why this is so dangerous. Most women, when they're trying to chase a specific goal, they're thinking short term. They're thinking, how can I do this as quickly as possible? And when they don't achieve it in a specific time frame with the expectation they had in mind, they're like, oh, I'm never going to be able to do it. There's no point to this anyway. What's the point? And they go into this cycle of burnout and frustration, which puts them off altogether from even going after that goal. Because they've been seeing all this red pill content that's telling them, oh, if you just grind harder, it's going to come all of a sudden. It doesn't work like that. There's so many get rich quick schemes online, but they're all scams because they're all preying on you and your own vulnerabilities to have that money quickly, that you actually think it's normal to get a quick payday. But that's not how it works. So instead of thinking short term and thinking that you're going to get all of this money as quickly as possible and then getting disappointed and quitting when it doesn't work out, these women think very specifically. They know that nothing is instant. They know that if they put in the effort, it's not going to happen right now. They detach from the outcome. And that is why they think long term, because they know if they focus only on what they can control, which is their input, then the timing of the output is out of their control. So what's the point of stressing over that? They detach from it. So they think long term. They know as long as they control their input and how many hours they put in, how much, they're grinding every single week. If they're focusing on what they can control, they release the outcome and understand that it'll just eventually find them or come to them at some point. So they're not stressing out about the timeline. They're not thinking about the specific payday. They're thinking long term because they know that the effort will eventually accumulate and come out like compound interest, basically. Number 4 is that they see rejection as data. Most women literally crash out when they get rejected, not just in a day, but also in their career. Let's say they apply to a job and they get rejected, or reject themselves before someone else even has a chance to reject them. The reason they take rejection so personally is not because of rejection itself, but what they think it says about them. It reinforces their core belief and their core fear that they're not good enough, that they're never going to be able to get what they want. And because it focuses on that root cause, it feels very targeted and personal, and it's easy for us to kind of take rejection very personally. But what you need to understand is rejection does not equate to who you are. Rejection is literally just data. So these wealthy women, they make sure that they take rejection as data. They know a no is just about it not being the right fit or the timing right now. It doesn't mean it's a no forever, it just means right now. They've detached, they have faith, they trust the outcome, they trust the process, because they know, again, tying this in with number 3, that if they detach, the outcome will eventually come to them and find them when the time is right. Because think about it. What if the reason you didn't get that job is because in the long term, the environment may have been super toxic and it may not have worked out for you? So you need to think about the good what ifs as opposed to the bad what ifs. So what if a better opportunity is waiting for you down the line? They never interpret no as a reason for them not being good enough, the way you are right now. Number 5 is that they act directly on fear. Most women, they wait to feel ready. They wait before they apply for that opportunity. They wait to feel happy before they earn that 10K. They try and wait to muster up the confidence before they go and apply for that big opportunity, or before they quit their job to start that business. But what the wealthy women understand is that fear is always going to be there. Fear never just disappears, but what they're able to do, they're able to rationalize it. They're able to put the fear to the side and act on it. They don't let the fear define themselves or dictate it, because they're not waiting for the confidence to come first. They realize that the fear is always there. So if they take action, the confidence eventually follows. Confidence doesn't just exist there in the first step. Confidence is built after a series of rejections, after understanding that you have your back even when you're disliked, when you are secure in your worth, when you're thinking long term. That's how the confidence builds. So basically, they don't let their internal state dictate the action that they're going to take in order to reach their goal. 6 is one not a lot of people talk about, but it's really important. And that is emotional regulation and learning how to deal with your emotions. Most women, they react. They lash out when they feel anger. They start crying the moment they feel it. And there's nothing wrong with feeling emotions, but the way you're dealing with them is incorrect. So what you're meant to do when you feel an emotion, it's a really cool analogy that I actually heard, is if you feel a wave of sadness or a wave of happiness or a wave of frustration, whatever it is, you think of the emotion as a train running past in your head, and you're the observer sitting on the platform, and your job is to just let that emotion and watch it pass. You're not meant to jump on the train or act on it. You're literally just meant to let it cross and pass by you. The issue right now with you not being able to control your emotions is that you're not able to think rationally in times of high pressure. How many of you have been into a high pressure situation like a job interview, and then you immediately start crashing out or having the worst amount of anxiety, and to the point you let it overtake you, and you can actually feel the physical manifestations of your body, like palpitations, sweaty palms, literally shaking? That is because you are letting your emotions get to you. However, what wealthy women understand is that they understand big financial decisions like investment or talking to stakeholders or walking away. All of these big decisions, they are made from a calm place, a rationalized place. And what they do is not that they push the emotions to the side, because that's heavily avoidant. Like the train analogy, they let the emotion, the frustration pass, they observe it, they process the emotions, and then they see how it makes them feel, and they react from that place. Not react, they respond from that place. So for them, their fear doesn't drive the decision. They've learned how to harness the fear, how to regulate it. And then once they've calmed down, then they make the decision from that secure, regulated, calm state of being. Number 7 is that these boss bitch women have secure attachment. Now, what does this mean? Most women are either anxiously attached or avoidantly attached. Anxious attachment is when you're desperately trying so hard to cling to the outcome. You're trying to force outcomes. You're trying to chase anything that runs away from you. And this creates a lot of friction. It creates a lot of burnout. It creates a lot of frustration. And it comes from the root of the fact you don't trust yourself. You don't trust that it's actually going to happen because you have a fear of abandonment and you think that everything's going to leave eventually. So you go out and you chase it. Second is avoidantly attached. Avoidantly attached is when you have a hard time actually processing your emotions. You have a hard time being vulnerable. They both stem from a place of abandonment, but it's literally just different manifestations of the same wound. However, the wealthy woman is securely attached. Now, what does this mean? They don't need people to like every single decision they make. They don't chase outcomes. They have trust. They have faith. They are self-confident. They are self-assured. They don't grip money or opportunities out of fear that it's never going to come back because they have an abundant mindset. They're able to process their emotions, how they feel. They're very, very in tune with themselves. They know exactly what they feel, why they feel it, and how to regulate their emotions, like we covered in number 6. The main trait of secure attachment is that they do not rely on external factors to feed their own sense of self and self-worth. They are so self-assured in themselves, they're so confident within themselves that they know that they can achieve anything they put their mind to. They don't need external approval or certainty. And that's why when they have secure attachment, opportunities come to them easier because their nervous system is actually in the state it's meant to be. It's regulated. Anxious and avoidant, they're not regulated, they're severely dysregulated. But when you're actually in the frequency you're meant to be, in the secure attachment you're meant to be, the money comes to you, the opportunities come to you, the career comes to you, the relationship comes to you, the right people come to you, everything comes to you. And lastly, the grand finale, which we are going to reveal. They install the identity before the evidence existed. Now, what does this mean? Big mindfuck. What if I told you the reason you haven't achieved the goals you wanted to is because you're letting your past ruin your life? What does this mean? Joe Dispenza has a very, very interesting concept, and it makes a lot of sense, to be completely honest with you. What Joe Dispenza says is your personality is made of how you think, how you act, and how you feel. So based on what you've done in the past, whether you got a series of rejections in the past, or whether you were told from a child that you're never going to make it, those have been reinforced in your brain so many times that they have become your embedded beliefs and your core beliefs for who you are in the present day. And you will keep projecting these past beliefs into your future. You will self-sabotage as a result. You will not think you're worthy of getting there. So you can't attract the career you want with the current identity and traits and values and personality, how you think, how you act, and how you feel right now. You actually have to embody and become the person, the wealthy woman who has all of these traits before the evidence of the money, the wealth, the lifestyle, the relationships come into your life. So the last final cheat code, which all 7 feed into, is that every wealthy woman installs the highest level identity of herself before any evidence exists in her physical world. They don't wait for a goal to feel happy. They feel happy and fulfilled now. They don't use rejections to define them as a person. They get rejected as quickly as they can to get where they want to be. They show up as the highest securely attached version of themselves. They regulate their emotions because guess what? The hot Pilates mama you want to become, she does all of these things. She's not the person you are right now. So you need to become that identity before any of the stuff actually manifests into your life. And these are the 8 psychological traits that every single wealthy woman has. My name's Abiha. I bridge the gap between neuroscience identity and your career to help you become the highest version of yourself and get the highest level of your career that you could ever possibly imagine. Make sure you follow or subscribe.